What's up, everyone? 7-Star Mike here for the new Trade Talk Media, and today I am teaming up with the OG of Flow, the Flow G, Charlie, to bring you some of today's hottest unusual options activity. Let's check it out. What's up, Charlie? What do you have for us today as far as Flow?
Hey, Mike, right off the bat this morning, they were hitting ADSK just like Mike Tyson back in his early days. So I want to go over this real quick. Early this morning, 52-week high, right off the bat. But we started seeing flow about 7-8 minutes into the market, 85,000, 60,000, 34, 34. Price not necessarily going in the right direction. You had this little pop, little drop, from 210 into 209s, but the flow just kept coming. So we started talking about this in the room ASAP. This was the first thing in the first 10 minutes we're talking about this one. And the flow just kept coming in all day. And those contracts last I seen $7.05 current price. They started coming in the mid to low twos, and I know Maria got in it actually at 3:30 by the time this thing took off pretty fast. She was in 3:30. I'd like for you to go over the chart on this one.
Yeah, send it on over. I've got an interesting thing on the chart to point out on this one.
All right, that should be on you.
All right, here we go. So this is basically the chart up to the minute. You can see we just 2 candles ago hit a high of day. But here's the cool thing about this one. If we zoom in earlier, this green line here, that's where the alert came out. So if you look at it, we opened the day with a pop, we gave it back, but we didn't quite, we just barely touched the low of day on that first candle there. This candle where the alert came out broke that by just a few pennies. And that's literally the low of day right there at the exact same time the alert came out. So the initial trader who triggered this alert really timed this one perfectly. They got in and you saw a little pop, a little give back there. But then if we zoom back out, look what it did the whole rest of the day up to the minute. So they basically got a pop, it came back, and they bought in right at the low of day. They were getting in a little bit earlier. The one that triggered was the one that hit at the low of day. That one was just crazy timing because from there, this thing is it's just on a straight upward climb. So that's what I love to see on that stuff is they nailed the bottom on this one. Doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's fun to watch. So the other thing on this one though, if you want to go to technical analysis, you can put a line there. And then if you see this one here, this is kind of an upward trend. So we're on an ascending triangle here, which is a technical pattern. So let's say you got the flow here, you see this big pop, but you don't really want to get in yet. If you're watching this opening, it's the 3rd candle of the day, you're watching the high point there, it got rejected there, but it's coming back to play with it. With an ascending triangle and with that upper resistance there, we hit it once, we hit it twice, this is where we broke through. You could get in here and you'd be paying more than the alert price, but you still had plenty of room to capitalize on that alert. So if you didn't get in at the double bottom here and you saw it pop, you still had time to do another entry based on other technical analysis there, combining the chart, combining technical analysis, and combining the alert all together. That's another way to look at an entry for ADSK. So that one was definitely a nice one. What else do you have as far as the flow?
And that ADSK was also talked about on CNBC halftime. We're not the only ones that recognize it today. I think everybody was talking about that one.
Hey guys, so we're using special software to find these trades that the big money traders are placing. If you're looking for something like that to add to your trading tool belt, I'm going to leave a special link in the description below that's going to give you 20% off your first month if you want to try the one that we're using. No obligation whatsoever, but if you're looking for something like this to add to your trading, use that link below, get a special discount, join us for a month, and see if this is something that can help your trading out.
So another one I've got, change my screen here, is NCR. Now NCR is a ticker I'm not familiar with. I have no idea about NCR, but they started coming in on this thing really fast this morning. Alert actually came out at 50 cents, but by the time I got in, it was 90. Not gonna lie about it. I marketed it into this, first flow came in, second flow came in, and this all just happened. By the time it hit 70 and I hit market, I'm filling at 90 cents. Now, this one's not as pretty as ADSK, but we want to talk about why we played this flow. I've never seen NCR. I don't recall NCR. So this one I was in 90 out at $1.08. Not that great, 20% gain, but it's, you know, people have asked us constantly why we pick the flow we play. And this one right here is a good example of, I just never seen it. Yes, you shouldn't chase Roman candles. This was just one that I'm like, okay. And actually it ended up hitting probably 20 bucks today, pretty close, almost winning the money. But it still had a little time on it. So this is just one, it's like pretty flow. It's not the most dollars I've ever seen, but it's not bad. Actually, you know what? That's, you know, 300 or 400 grand on a symbol I've never seen. I'm going to pass this one back to you and let you talk about the chart on this.
Okay, so this is, like you said, this is one of those ones where I'll zoom in here. The alert came out here at this green line. So we definitely had just sideways action and then kind of boom, 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 boom. The alert comes out here. It looks like you're chasing. And I mean, you kind of are. Down here, we're in the 18 range. Up here, we're in the 1886 range. So that's a pretty good move right there. But this is where the alert came out. If we zoom back out, you can see it looks like that was a pretty good run. Am I chasing? Absolutely. I actually followed this one too, but for me, this was a quicker scalp. I was in at 90 also, but I got out at 105. So I got out a little bit less than you, but I think I got out earlier because I was looking at, since it already made this kind of a move by the time I got in, I was looking to just capitalize on a quick pop on that one. So like you said, this one, it's still going a little bit up. We're trailing down a little bit, you know, at this point, but after the alert, there was a little bit of sideways action, and then we just kind of creeped up a little bit, came back, crept up, came back, and then a slow crawl up to the high of day. So this is one of those ones where maybe you're not going to make 100% on this one. This isn't one of those ones where, you know, you're going to get in and 2 minutes later you're up 60%. But it was a nice quick scalp. You held it a little bit longer, made a few cents more than me on that one. So again, even though we chased it, there's still money to be made on some of these alerts. And what I liked about this one is if you look at the timestamp on the flow, it was 4 or 5 of them that kind of came in within seconds. And that's what caught my eye on it, is that it was, I think, within like a 10, 20, 30 second range, whatever it was, they just came in kind of back to back to back. And I saw that just fill the screen a little bit, and I was like, that one's kind of curious. That one's piquing my curiosity. So I actually did jump into this one also. It was a quick scalp. It's not going to make us millionaires, but it provided lunch money based on flow, showing us a ticker that we normally wouldn't have even looked at in the first place. So I like that one also for that same reason. That's kind of one of those things we look for, is it's unusual activity. Now we have unusual activity on a ticker that normally doesn't show any activity at all. So now it's even more unusual. And that's one of those things that's going to grab our attention. So awesome job with NCR. What else do we have?
Thank you. Snap. So we've been seeing repeat action in Snap for weeks. And Snap is one, me and you, Mike, actually, one of the reasons we've got a rapid fire bullish was conversations me and you had a long time ago. So these snaps are coming in 65, 65, 65, 67. Boom, 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 boom. Now, these are white, so I haven't been met. Finally, we alerted up in this area. I got in at 75 cents, out a little too quick. I think it was 75 to 92 maybe. The room makes fun of me a little bit about that, but it kept going. It ended up being discussed later on the halftime show. But this is one, because we're familiar with it, and because it was just slightly in the money, I'm looking at this going, well, you know, it's 25 cents in the money. These contracts only cost me 40, 50 cents. I was looking over here at high of day going, if it got back there, those contracts are at about $1 at that point. So I'm like, okay, I can risk low of day, and I'm going to pass this back to you so you can talk about that, that entry and about low of days and stuff.
Yeah, so this one here, we had a pop in the morning and we gave it all back and then some. So this is kind of the opening area here where we were having some support area. It's not perfect, but it's, you know, it bounced once, it bounced twice, and then we broke through it. We'll zoom in again here. You can see low of day was 1872. The low of this candle was about 1875. So we see some call activity coming in just above the low of day. So this is one of those ones where it's almost a low risk entry, just because if you got in here, and remember, these are calls and we're kind of at low of day. If you get in here and it breaks and makes a new low of day, you can exit the trade with a loss, but it's going to be a minimal loss. And when we talk about managing trades, that's how you survive as a trader, by taking your losses and keeping them as small as possible. So if the idea to get into this trade is that we're following some call activity and we break this level here and make a new low of day, the reason we got into the trade is kind of invalidated, because we're taking a call position and we just made a new low of day. So if you get out, and let's say you got filled at the top of this candle here at 1883, low of day is 1872. So if you break that, let's say it goes down to 1860 or 1850, even if you got in at 1883, that trade is not going to kill you. It's not going to destroy your account. Even if you went the entire account into it, which we recommend you never do. But since you're getting in so close to the low of day, if you get out on a new low of day, that trade is not going to hurt you too much. So low risk entry, just because they're buying some call activity at the low. You can see it's kind of going sideways for a little bit here. Little pop, gave it back, little pop, gave it back, little pop. So it's in this little consolidation here, and that's where the alert came out. They went with some calls, and if we pull out, this is one of those ones where if you saw this, let's zoom in even further here. The alert comes out here and you're thinking about getting in, you see this big green candle here and you're going, oh man, I'm chasing it now. I mean, it looked great, but look at this candle here. That's a 15-cent candle. Ah, I missed it, I'm gonna wait. And then you see it start pulling back a little bit. So you're going, oh man, I'm glad I didn't get in there. If you missed the trade, you can see right over here, the low of this candle is the low of this candle where they entered. It's above the low of day. So as that low area holds and starts climbing again, you have a chance to get back into this one. So if you wanted to get in the trade, you saw that candle and you're thinking, oh man, that's a huge candle. Now I just missed my chance. I always recommend keeping the chart up and watching for it to do what it's going to do. So when it comes back down here, it's holding this level as support and then starts climbing again. If you missed the initial entry, or if this candle scared you away, you have a chance to keep an eye on the chart, still get in here for about the same price as the alert would have been, and still capitalize on this monster gain here. Snap is one that I've been playing probably for a year or so now, not consistently, but in and out of it over the course of the year. Snap is one that I like. That's a ticker that's, it's not going to be one of those Amazons where it costs you $7,000 to get a contract. Still going to give you some range. So Snap is one that I like. When I see flow on that, that's one of those ones that I'm going to keep an eye out and try and coordinate the chart with the flow and see what's going on and see if I can get into a trade based on what that big money trader saw in the chart, or just based on what their thesis was. So Snap is one of my favorites too now. I like that one. Anything else for flow? What do we have today?
Yeah, this next one I'm going to go over. This is JBL. Now, I think Kang was talking in the room. Hopefully you can see my screen. Kang was talking in the room and I started yelling, stop, hold on, JBL's coming through. And I'd seen this sweep come through, little sweep, but then this block come through, but this was the same buyer, 50, 54, 67 cents. So we got in this one. By the time I filled, again, this happened in less than a minute. By the time I filled, I'm actually filling at 75. I was out at this one at 95. Now, as Mike's going to show you, yes, I bought into a big green candle. I'm not recommending that, but JBL is flow. I don't see JBL. We see Apple every day. We'll go over that in a minute after he goes over this JBL chart. This is one of those quick things we talk about, scalping, 75, 95, in, out, 22, 23, 25%, whatever. In and out, wasn't many contracts. Did it with confirms like everything else I play. I give you a confirm in, I give you a confirm out. But this is one I'm still watching because this was a lot of dollar flow for JBL. I mean, you're looking at, 300 grand probably, close, maybe not quite. But that one caught my attention. I'm going to pass that back to Mike and let him go over the chart, which is going to show you that, yes, I took a extreme shot here, and I passed that back to Mike. Then we're going to go over just a couple more things of why we didn't take a couple trades.
So here's the chart for JBL. And now the thing to remember is I am primarily a scalper and day trader. So the charts that you're looking at that I'm showing you are 1 minute charts for today. So I probably should have mentioned that to start, but what I'm looking at is a 1 minute chart for today's action only. Those are all the charts that I've been pulling up. So when the alert comes out, especially this one because it's a weekly, this expires Friday, I want to see what's going on today. I will pull back and see the broader picture and make sure that there's nothing crazy going on, you know, a day or two earlier or last week or a month ago. But when I'm entering and exiting trades, for me personally, this doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just right or wrong for me. For me personally, I like the 1 minute chart. So on this one, we see a pop in the morning, gives a little bit back, and then it's just kind of not necessarily sideways. There's a little bit of movement there, but then it starts going sideways. Then we see this big green candle. And again, if we zoom in, the alert came out on this big green candle. So that's one of those ones, again, where if you enter that, you either want a tight stop or you want to keep an eye on the chart because it had such a big move. Something happened right here. So it's one of those trades where you can get into it. You just want to watch it and make sure it's going to have some continuation, because if this candle gave it right back and then started bleeding off, you wouldn't want to be in up here or worse on the next candle up here and then watch it give that all back. So for me, this is one of those ones where I would just have a tighter stop, or I'd just be watching the chart really carefully to monitor and make sure that it does have continuation. You can see this movement here. It's just a little bit of movement up and down. Then this big candle in here, followed up by another pretty decent sized candle, and then it starts creeping up a little bit further. If we pull back out to the rest of the day, you can see we made a nice high over there, gave some back. We're just kind of hanging out in that area up here currently. So the thing about this one, this is a weekly contract. They were the 31s, $31 strike. It expires the end of this week, and it was currently trading around 30. I think the spot price on the actual alert was like 30.70 or 30.80. So you're literally 20 cents out of the money. So you don't need a big move for this to basically reach that strike price. Now, it doesn't have to reach that strike price for you to make money as long as it's going in the right direction, but we're close to the money. We're just barely out of it on a weekly contract. So those are some of the ones that I like, because you don't want to take a weekly contract so far out of the money and take on a little bit more risk. This one came in just under the strike price where they executed those trades. So that's one that I kind of keep an eye out for as well, because I like to trade those weekly contracts. And if I see some flow coming into something that's just barely out of the money, that's kind of what I'm looking for as far as the personal style of trading that I do. So a little bit riskier just because of that big candle right there. But again, as long as you have a stop that's somewhere around the lows over here, again, somewhat of a low risk entry because of the dollar amount that's moving into that, because of the way the flow came in. Again, just another way to look at some of the alerts compared to the
Let's go ahead and look
pulling
at
it all together to make a decision on whether or not you like.
Let's go ahead. What was Autodesk when we started this webinar? How much were those contracts? 7 something. They just went over $8. Autodesk. She should be able to see my screen. So again, those were alerted at 2:30. Now I want to show y'all. It's not as easy as what I am sitting here talking about, and I want to be 100% fair. Some of these alerts, especially the ones down here, 25.94 to 27.12, 32 cents to 36 cents, 250 to 360. Okay, that was fine. 69 to 71. Those are what I consider failed alerts. Not the 250 to 360, obviously, but 69 to 31, $1.02 to $1.18, 4 to 440, 202 to 213. This is why we're picky about what we play. Yes, I missed lift today. Rapid fire bullish, one of my favorites. I should have been all on this one. Let's go ahead and click that flow. This week's 32s, I believe. You can see they were just banging this thing out down here when this alerted. But this wasn't a lot of size. I don't know that I would have followed it, so I don't want to sit here and say that I'm a perfect trader, because I'm not. I absolutely missed lift, that alert right there. Tesla, those $1,000 calls, those, again, rapid fire bullish, one of my favorites. They're working out now. They had an ugly start. After those came through. Booking, I just don't play. I don't like the spreads. Yes, it worked. I just don't like those spreads. Uber just alerted a couple of minutes ago, actually. Google, again, I don't like these spreads. So for me, when I'm looking at these things and I'm going, what do I play? Autodesk, ground and pound. You don't see a lot of flow on Autodesk, especially coming in at 52-week highs. I don't see a lot of flow. NCR, don't see that flow. Snap, we play every week. JBL, I don't see that flow. Booking, I don't like the spreads. Google, I don't like the spreads. Intel, I don't play that many puts. So I make this into my style, right? Look at this Apple down here. We get Apple flow every week. Sometimes the wilder the Apple flow, the better it works. So these are things that I look for as a flow trader. Today, fortunately, we went 4-0 on what we picked from the flow. We didn't play any of those losers. Listen, tomorrow we may play all losers and no winners. Today, we made it look easy. It's not always that easy. I'm not trying to tell anybody that trading's easy. Trading's hard. With this flow right here, I want to tell you what you do have. Let's just say 7-star Mike decides to buy $1 million of, let's pick a stock, of Snap. And let's say he's at E-Trade. He sends that $1 million to the exchange. He puts it in his account. E-Trade sends it to the exchange. The exchange is filling that order. I get it as it's filling. The exchange is sending it to me at the same time it's sending it to E-Trade. I don't get reported. They don't report this from E-Trade. This data comes from the exchange. So I know what Mike bought and his fill price before he does. He's still looking into his account. It's coming across my screen that it's filling. That's how powerful this tool is. So that's as close to inside information as you can get. Years ago, we wouldn't have dreamed about, hey, man, if a big whale comes in and starts buying millions of dollars, you hear about it on CNBC later. No, we have it to the second. This flow is to the second. Of course, we're adding some very pretty filters this week. Let me go ahead and put this at or above ask real quick. So really, that's all I had for you guys. I wanted to go over a few of the trades we did take. Sorry, we just had a customer come in. That's Mike. If you got anything to add, that's it from me myself. I'm gonna go ahead and make you the presenter here and let you have some closing comments.
Yeah. So same thing. People are asking, okay, so there's a lot of alerts. How do you get to choose which one you want to follow? And I go through the same process as you. So there are certain tickers that I just don't trade. There are certain dollar amounts that I just don't trade. And those are kind of combined. I don't want Amazon on a Monday when it's going to cost me $1,400 for a contract. I just don't trade that personally. What time frame do you trade? If there's flow that's perfectly, it's everything we look for in flow, but it's a leap, and I know I'm going to look at this every day for a year, I'm probably passing on that because that's just not the type of trade that I take. So narrowing down the alerts comes down to what type of trader are you, and are these alerts fitting into your trade criteria? So I'm kind of the same way as far as narrowing down the alerts. It's not a matter of you just take everything that comes across the screen. We've got a bunch on the screen, so it's one of those things where you can definitely kind of pick and choose. There's so much to look at on any given day. We'll pull it in here just to have the alerts up there. So look at all these alerts, right? There's a lot of them. If you tried to play every one of them, you're not really going to be successful. Now, if you played every single one of them with the same consistent size, you would, but most of us don't have an account balance where we can trade every single one of those 30 or 40 alerts. So you've got to narrow it down. It's one of those things, just be particular about what you're looking for. Don't take trades just because they're alerts. Make sure it fits your personal trade style criteria for entering an alert or entering a trade, and the alert is just kind of pointing out to you some activity that's going on. So if I know someone just put a ton of money into ADSK and I wasn't looking at ADSK, I can pull it up on my screen and go, oh wow, someone just put a lot of money into it in a really quick time frame, and I like the positioning on the chart, I'm going to follow it. So that's the power of the real-time data here, is because we're seeing this happen as they execute on the exchange, and then we just have to pull up the chart and see if it matches the reason we would get into a trade outside of the flow. And then the flow combined with the chart, combined with our criteria for entering a trade, all comes together, And that's going to create a trade idea for us that we can actually take action on that we might not have been paying attention to ahead of time. So I look at ADSK from time to time, but that wasn't on my radar today. When the flow comes in, it's alerting me that that's a ticker I want to pull up and take a look at, and currently up 240%, 247% on the alert. Now, would you get 247%? Maybe, maybe not. You'd have to get in at the alert price and ride it to the high of day, which we can't time tops and bottoms, so that's maybe you're not in it at 260% currently. But if something's up 260%, do you have a chance to at least grab 100% out of that? Most likely. So the power of seeing this stuff live as it executes on the exchange, to think we can do that is just, it's unbelievable to me. So the Black Box crew definitely created a crazy tool that gives us some insights that is just, it's almost unbelievable that we have these insights. So awesome job to the Black Box crew for that. And that's about all I have for now.
I am going to steal it back for one more second because I want to show people one quick thing. Change presenter. Show my screen. Let's go over here to Discord for a second. This morning, I asked them, I said, who all played this? Look at this. ADSK 220, 440, 323 to 417. Stock Idrit 350 to 420, 220 to 273, 329 to 410, 221 to 355, 360 to 420, 215 to 420, 214 to 365. I mean, this goes on and on and on and on. 310 to 410, 70% in 12 minutes.
That is awesome to see.
Consensus plays, things the moderators are yelling about. You're new, you get all these alerts. Look, if the moderators aren't talking about them, you probably should ignore it. That don't mean there won't be some winners we didn't play, because there will be. But more than likely, we're not playing the losers. And at the end of the day, that's what's important, is if we can avoid the losers and keep focused on the most of the winners that we can, that's the main thing. And again, I don't want to make this sound like it's easy. We've been doing this for a long time. We're going to miss some alerts that you know, I've missed some. I look back and they're 500%, but there wasn't something I was going to play. Like we had one, it wasn't AT&T, T-Mobile, 480% a couple weeks ago. Everybody's like, why didn't you play that? I'm like, I don't play T-Mobile. And it happened in about 4 candles anyway. It just wasn't it didn't fit my criteria. You want to use what you're used to playing, stuff that you understand how it moves. And really, that's all I got to say. I just did want to show everybody that, like, this Autodesk, and I mean, look at this. Look at this. Trade, they just, and this is, we were in Snap all over there. It doesn't stop. Yeah, I mean, you know. So, anyway, that's really all I had. Thank everybody for watching, obviously. And Mike, great job out there. Thanks for putting this video together for us. And that's all I've got.
Yep, so thank you guys for joining us. We got a quick look at what we look at as far as the alerts and how to pull them up on the chart. And it's really all about combining the tools that you have. You have an alert, you have a chart, put it together and form some kind of an actionable trade. Don't just blindly follow alerts because it's an alert. You will find that you're probably not consistent when you do that. So today you had a quick glance at how the alert comes out. We're kind of looking at the flow to determine if we really like the flow. Pull up the chart, combine that with the flow. Do we like the positioning on the chart? And then when we put it all together, we've got some great actionable alerts on here. So thanks for joining me, Charlie. I appreciate the insight on that, and we'll see you guys another time.
Thanks, everybody.